Lindsay. Touchdown, Colorado! Just down blocking on the left side. Watch the movement the left side gets. And Lindsay springs totally free. And then it's all about heart.
Welcome into a new BuffStampede Radio. Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com on the 24/7 Sports Network. A short break on the podcast, late spring, but I'm really excited about today's podcast. We're going to be catching up with CU legend Phillip Lindsay. And Phillip, I don't know if you need an intro, but Colorado has a lot of new fans because of Coach Prime.
For sure.
So we got to tell your story for maybe some of the folks that are going to be CU fans going forward but don't know all the details. And then the folks that know everything about you are going to really enjoy catching up with you. I haven't really seen you, aside from just in passing at CU a few times since you graduated. So it's just great to see your face and hear your voice. And I know that you are Colorado through and through. And every time I see you, it just reminds me of Denver, Colorado, and kind of the path that you laid forth there at CU.
Yeah, definitely. First and foremost, thank you for having me on your podcast today. It's an honor. You've been covering me since the start, since I actually signed. Actually, I signed like at South. So I remember the first time we've talked. So it's been a while. But definitely, I mean, Denver is home. You know, I was born and raised, and I take a lot of pride in what I do here and what I have done for the University of Colorado and just in Colorado in general. I don't think that we get as much respect and notoriety as we should. And I think definitely with Coach Prime being here, it's going to hyphen everything. And this is the right time to be able to make those moves so that people understand nationwide that Colorado is a great place to be. There's a lot of great athletes, and the fan base from the Denver Broncos to the Nuggets to the Avalanche, it's amazing. Yeah. You're not going to get a better fan base than here in Colorado.
I still haven't gotten used to all the national attention that CU's getting right now.
Sure, it's a lot.
How have you kind of reacted when you turn on the TV and they're talking about your alma mater?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild to see them on a national scale, and see how much of an impact Coach Prime has already had to the university, and also just getting everybody excited for a season. I know that, it's been a lot of years since, the Buffs and the fans have had some crazy excitement, talking to Hagan, probably since Hagan that it hasn't been something that's just been this crazy. And I think that's just because we've been on the law for so long there's a lot of different reasons for that, and to be able to bring that back and hopefully, the thing is, you just got to still stay patient with this whole process. It's going to be a process for the University of Colorado, Coach Prime and everything else. But I'm telling you right now, if everything goes how I think it should be, the fans are going to be excited for a very long time.
Now, it wasn't quite to Darian's level, but 2016 did show us what Folsom Field can be when the Colorado Buffaloes are playing for something.
Oh, yeah.
Those last two home games that year.
Definitely. Even the thing is this, right? The University of Colorado is a very special place, and I always tell people this, right? I tell people when you're trying to recruit young men to come here, sometimes it's hard because a lot of times they don't really know too much about Colorado. They hear about it, and the first thing they talk about is it's cold, right? And we all know in the summertime it's beautiful. The thing is, if you can get those kids to come in to the University of Colorado, take a visit, hang out and stuff, they'll never want to leave, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that it's crazy. Like, University of Colorado is a beautiful place. Then you get that fossil magic that it truly exists, right? You get into this field, and the fans are going crazy. It's bowl-shaped. You got the mountains sitting there, and it's unreal. You start to win games, and everybody's into it. Like, there's no better place to be. And I'm glad and grateful I got the opportunity to experience a lot of moments like that, But I'm also glad and grateful for the experiences of the lows too, because that's what made things even sweeter.
We're going to get into all of that. And speaking of great things in Colorado, we are coming to you from GQue BBQ in Lakewood, one of GQue's 5 locations. You can find Colorado's best barbecue at Folsom Field and Empower Field on game days, or at their locations in Westminster or Parker. Phillip, you said you've been to GQue before.
Yeah,
you love the
good.
wings. I mean, I've tried everything on the menu, and it's all pretty good.
No, it's all good. I mean, this is the number one barbecue spot in Colorado at this time. I think that, it brings a lot of different flavors, variety, and it's just a great place to be, a great place to eat. And we come here at least 2-3 times a month, so I'm not going to complain about it.
Like I mentioned, most of the folks that are listening to this don't need much of a recap on Phillip Lindsay, but for those that are new CU fans, he is the Buffalo's all-time leader in all-purpose yards, right behind EB in the rushing yards.
Yeah.
It was pretty close there for a second.
It was. I was hoping to be able to be the one to beat him, especially him being he's the one that got me to come to University of Colorado. He recruited me. So, like, being able to break that record would have been sweet. But at the end of the day, it wasn't meant to be. And he's a great running back and a great person to the university. So I'm glad it's still standing.
You were the first undrafted player in NFL history to rush for more than 1,000 yards. First 2 years in the league, spent time with the Broncos, Texans, Dolphins, Colts. Most recently spent time with the Seattle Sea Dragons in the XFL in April.
Yep.
You actually had to miss the CU sold-out spring game, April 22nd.
I seen it on TV. It's crazy.
A lot of your former teammates were there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was tough not to be able to be there.
Yeah, it was, because we had plans to come up there, and my wife and I and my son were going to come up there. That was going to be his first time being there, like at the university, like in a football aspect. So it was getting ready to be a fun time. Unfortunately, I didn't get to make it, but we're going to get up there here, one of these days when the football's going on, and just be able to enjoy a game, So, but hopefully not for a little while. Hopefully, I'm playing at that time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's a great place, and I wish I would have been able to be there and see some of my old teammates and just see that, feel that electricity in the air again.
Have you had a chance to talk to any of those guys in terms of what their experience was being around that environment?
I have. My best friend is Chido Beawuzie. We go back, when we first started, I feel like me and him were pioneers of holding each other accountable and holding a lot of our teammates accountable. Josh Tubo is another one that I've talked to. And they had a great time. There was so many different people there, different alumni from different eras were there, and you can't beat that. You get to have great connections and talk to people, and that's the part that I wish I would have been a part of.
What are your goals in football going forward?
Yeah, for me, it's just being able to finish out my career kind of how I want to. Of course, everybody wants to have 1,000-yard years and be the best running back. But for me, it's just if I can put together a couple great, solid years, do my part contributing, win some games, try to go to the playoffs, and just play out some of my games so my son can watch me play a little bit more, I can't ask for anything else. I've had a great high school career, had a great college experience and career. I've had, the thing about the NFL is, no matter how good you do, at some point, it's gonna come to an end, and you gotta run with what it is. At the end of the day, it is what it is, and you take it for what it is, and get what you can out of it, and just have fun. I think that's the biggest thing, is like to enjoy the rest of my career how I want it to be, and hopefully I get at least a couple more years in me to run around and play this game.
It's awesome you mentioned your son, because one of the first things that really endeared you to the CU fan base when you got to Boulder was when you talked about why you play the game of football as hard as you do. And
exactly.
Your parents being an inspiration, especially your mother and your siblings as well. I guess everybody wants to know, how is everybody in your family doing these days?
Yeah, everybody is doing good. Everybody is on their own page, beating to their own drum, and just living life. Everybody's just kind of doing their part to society to fit in, I guess, at this point, and just do what's best for their little family. And for me, that's, I came from college and then got married, and we have a beautiful baby boy, and hopefully have another one. And it's just about giving back the time that, the great experiences you had as kids and growing up to my son now, and later on the son and daughter we decide to have, and so but everybody is doing great, man. Everybody can't complain. The thing is, you have ups and downs, but when I look back at it, everybody is doing their part.
Your father was obviously a great role model for you. You broke his Denver Prep League record for rushing yards. Did he put a football in your hands at a very young age, and is that something you've started to do with your son yet? Yeah,
so what's funny is my father and my mom never forced us to play any sports. Now, my father played ball at Colorado State. My uncle played ball at the Utah Utes. But I feel like what really got me going, and even to this day, is seeing my older cousins play at the Oklahoma State, is seeing Tony Lindsay, and he was the starting quarterback at Oklahoma State, and just watching him on TV and seeing like the good things he was doing. And I think he was a sweet quarterback, to be honest. I think he was too early in the era where the running quarterbacks weren't, it went from Coach Hagan to being running quarterbacks to then back to drop back quarterbacks, and I think that's the era he was kind of in. But TT could really fly, man. And honestly, I sit back and watch some of his highlights now, and it's just, you forget how graceful and good he really was. So he really was a big mentor for me growing up, watching him play. Like, I was excited to watch college football, and I was excited to play all the time. And then that kind of just transitioned to me playing flag football with my friends, and then my father deciding to coach me, and then, kind of gelling me into being a running back and teaching me, the way to be a running back and just to play football. And, being around a bunch of hard-headed kids that wanted to play football and stuff, I think that helps you build character and build you as well. And as we grew up, we just got better and better and wanted to do better. And I look back at it, and when I got to high school, I wanted to be the best high school football running back there was, right? I didn't look at, the thing I could say is when I focused, it wasn't like, I wanted to go to the NFL, right? It was, I wanted to be when I was younger, I would look at all the high school football players and the great ones, and the ones that doing really good, and be like, I want to be better than him. Then when I got to high school and did well, I started looking at the college, and I was like, okay, I want to be in college, I want to be known. Why not me?
Yeah.
And then, for the NFL, that's a tricky one, because I focused so much in college because I didn't know if I was going to be able to play in the NFL, right? Just because of all the odds of going in the first place and my size and all this bull crap and stuff. So what I did was I just held in and really focused on being the best person I could be in college football and doing what I can be on the field and off the field. And, when I broke my father's record back, going back like with Denver, I put a lot of work into doing that, But like, I couldn't have done that without my friends and my teammates at that time. Everybody played a part into getting me to where I have, been right now, And so I'm grateful for those opportunities and those friendships, and everybody doing their part for me to do my part as well.
I worked for Rivals and now 24/7 Sports. We do a lot of recruiting coverage.
Yeah.
I remember going down to Denver South, and I had heard about you because you had put up big numbers.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing the Oklahoma drill, and you were, that's usually a drill for the linemen, but you wanted to get into the action in terms of the physicality. But then the second, I think your uncle called you over to talk to me, you took your helmet off and you had a big smile on your face. Yeah. Has it always been that easy for you to kind of separate the aggression that's needed on the football field and then how you need to live the rest of your life?
No, for sure. I think like you got to be able to turn it on and off, right? Like on the field, I was mean. I could be like, I don't want to cuss on it, but I could be bad. I could be an a-hole. Like that's just who I was. But off the field, like I just was able to separate different things and have fun. I always was able to have fun. I think that was just how our family dynamic was. We were always clowning around, always talking a bunch of stuff, but just enjoying each other and just enjoying the ride of stuff. But then with football, it was all serious business, and like I could turn it on, and like something in me, just like I would just black out. Especially if something, you know, someone says something, now it's on and cracking, you know. But I just think that that's just the way I was brought up, and my brothers were the same way, and we were just hard-headed. We were fighting all the time, but we also, like, our father also taught us how to be respectful, how to go at things differently as well. And I think that if you can be able to balance both of those, turn it on, and when you're off the field to kind of like relax and turn it off, you're going to be in a better situation just in life.
There's a lot of impressive things that you've done in your football career.
Yeah.
You averaged over 10 yards a touch with a torn ACL until it got properly diagnosed.
Yeah.
You thought it was a sprained knee at that point?
Yeah, well, what was weird was it was in my senior year, and there was a lot of hype for our team. Our team was really good, right? Our team kind of built up throughout the years. We stayed together, and we were all seniors. So like we're supposed to be like top in the state, and going into that game, everything was cool and stuff like that, and I make a cut, and I hear like a couple pops. You know what I mean? And it was kind of hurting, but I've never been hurt and injured like that, you know, before. I had maybe a couple sprained ankles, but nothing torn, nothing broken, anything like that. So that was the first time me feeling like that. And then we didn't have the money to go and get MRIs. You know, like you go to college, it's just right there, you know, in the NFL. They pay for all that, right? In high school and stuff, like you got to have insurance, like the right insurance to get it, or you're sitting there waiting. Plus, like, it's not like you can just get an MRI and just, like, you got to wait for an MRI. So when that happened and I thought it was a sprain, I sat out one game, I played the next because it felt a little better, you know. The swelling was down and all that. I knew it wasn't well because I knew it wasn't, like, I wasn't myself, but I just thought, like, okay, it's a sprained knee or something like that. I've never had an injury before like that. So I played on it, I think I busted like a 75-yard touchdown and all that. Then I did the same kind of cut I did the last time, and it gave out on me, and I knew right then and there, like, this was. Then I was able to get with a surgeon doctor that actually played with my father back in TJ, Thomas Jefferson. His name's Andy Moats. He diagnosed me, got me an MRI, and I blew my knee out. That's the first time I ever had, you know, I've heard about the knees and blowing, and back in the day, you knew if you had a blown knee, you were never going to play again kind of stuff. Yeah. So, that was a big, for me, that was a big awakening that, like, I think it humbled me in the sense of, like, you're human and anything can happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, be grateful for the opportunities to play this game because that stuff can be taken away from you faster than all the hard work you done did, right? You could do all the hard work for 5-6 months and all it takes is one cut and you're done for the whole entire year, you know? So, that opened my mind to just like seeing the game differently than what I was seeing it, where it's just like as a high school kid, you're selfish, you think you're the man, you think that like your stuff doesn't stink, you know, everybody's all on you because you're you know what I mean, physically and athletically you're better than the majority of them. But then when that happens and you're just by yourself, and you know, we were still winning, we ended up going to state. You know, my brother ended up stepping up. We had a couple, Pete Williams and Trevante Tasco. We had really great players behind me, and like sitting there and watching all them and all my teammates that I grew up with continue to win, it hurt because it's like I didn't get to help. You know, I felt like I didn't get to help us go to the state championship, but in reality, I helped mold and build the team to be able to get to that point where they were dominant. It just, you know, for me, it was like, dang. And then I didn't know if I was going to be able to play football again. I didn't know people were pulling their scholarships. Now, you know, Embry got fired. You know, Embry got fired the day he came to my house. You know, that was crazy. Like, he came, sat down, talked with my family. They talked about how they were going to give him a couple, you know, at least his contract. You know, he's driving down the street. We turned the TV on, and they fired the man. So I don't even think they told him. So, like, that was, like, another one. I was like, dang, I just blew my knee out, and I don't even know if I'm going to have a scholarship. You know what I mean? So now I'm sitting here, like, what? I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, other than, you know, we didn't have money to go to college and pay for our college, you know? So the biggest thing was using our gifts that we had to get an education. Like, that was the goal.
how long did it take until you got on the phone with Mike McIntyre and knew that you were going to have a spot? Was that like a month-long
yes,
process?
It was a month-long process. I was having issues with my knee because I didn't have the right PT. I didn't have the money to go get the right PT and stuff. Like now, the way that they do stuff with knees now, like, is incredible. Like they can have a person back in 5-6 months looking great. Like even back when I was playing, it was still like a little bit more of a process, right? And I didn't get the right process. So when I came up for my physical, when Mike Mack, who to this day I talk to all the time, he decided to honor my scholarship, right? And at that time I'm a $165 maybe, 5'8", you know what I mean? And he comes into the door and he's looking like this kid's knees all messed up. He's only 160 pounds, like, and he decided to honor my scholarship because he heard so much hype and good stuff around that when I got up there, my knee, it was 5 months out, and by 5 months you're usually bending and straightening your knee, you're running, and I couldn't bend or straighten my knee. So they were all concerned, like, yo, this kid may not even be able to play, like, again, because the scar tissue's so scarred down. And I got with a man up there named Ted Lane, and I don't know if he's still, sometimes he may go up there, he's retired, and he worked on me every single day. And because of that man, today I'm able to do the stuff I'm able to do, right? So I'm always going to be grateful. That's why I'm saying, like, it takes a village and everybody around me to get me to this opportunity that I've been able to get. It's because of people like my teammates getting me the notoriety. Someone like Ted Lane working on me that didn't have to do that was able to get me back on the football field. Like things like that were set in place, are the reasons why was able to do it, and still today able to do some of the things I'm doing.
And you came on campus and redshirted, but were the offensive scout team player of the year.
I did.
Were you starting to kind of get the mojo back?
Yeah, I started getting my knee back and knee healthy and stuff. And for people who never known, like, to be honest with you, once you have a knee injury, it takes a full year for you to fully feel like, maybe even a little bit more of a year, to feel like yourself again. So, like, for all these people, like, saying, I feel great, like, they really, like, they may feel great, but I'm telling you right now, like, you're not going to feel 100% yourself and feel like you can do these crazy cuts or crazy things until a year and a half year. Like, so I needed that redshirt year, man. It gave me a chance to just be a student, to learn the game, to make friendships outside of football and have some fun in college. And also, like you said, to heal my knee and get me stronger and bigger faster. So while kids these days want to just play right away, the best thing that happened to me was redshirt. I got to get everything out of my system, right? And I still had 4 years of college, and I got to get on top of my schooling early. I got 2 degrees. Like, it's the best situation you can be in if you're patient enough. Every kid thinks they're going to go to the NFL and they're just going to be the greatest. The thing is, like, you can have a great freshman year, and the years that count are your junior and senior year. And if you don't have good junior, senior years, you're not going to get drafted high or wherever it is. So the thing is, like, you might as well take your time on it and grow. That's what it's for.
You mentioned Mike McIntyre.
Yeah.
It's too bad that things didn't build off 16, because I always really respected him. He gave you the Tasmanian Devil nickname.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember when that happened.
I think that was honestly brewing since my my freshman year. Like doing scout team, I got in a fight every day. Every day I was in a fight. Like that was just who I was, And I just think, like, what's funny is my class, we stuck together. All the ones that redshirted with me and a couple that were still playing, we all stuck together and we took some butt whoopings and we went through a lot of stuff. But man, to reap the reward of that year, and a lot of them are in the NFL or got a chance. Like, you can't ask for, like, that's what football's all about. It's not just going to a team, waiting until you're a senior year and then playing. Like, yeah, that's cool. And but it's the journey, right? It's the friendships you make, it's all the hardship you go through, but then the success at the end. Like, there's nothing sweeter than feeling that, like okay, just buy your time, like, keep grinding, keep working, and then all of a sudden that year, you guys are the ones on top. Everybody was laughing at you guys at the beginning. Now you guys is handing out ass whoopings, right? That's what it's all about, right? And that's what we worked our butts off for. Most
transition classes don't end up being all that great, but It's like Embry and McIntyre kind of caught lightning in a bottle with that group. After you redshirted, you shattered Lamont Warren's freshman all-purpose mark at CU in 2014. Really shining in that kickoff return role, going for over 500 yards of offense, then led the team in rushing in 2015. At that point, you and Sefo Lufau and Cheeto Bayawuzie and Tedrick Thompson, just to name a few, have suffered a lot of tough losses, a lot of really heart-wrenching losses.
A lot of big losses, yeah.
I'm thinking of the Brett Hundley one where Cheeto you guys had to come back to
UCLA?
pick him up. Yes.
Yeah, I know. That was tough.
That could have broken a lot of teams, and you guys just didn't give up. What do you remember about the summer of 2016?
Man, it was everything building up to that year. You know, it was like the thing is, we all had one goal, and that was to go to the NFL, right? But we knew we were gonna have to hold each other accountable. But we knew each other so well that we were able to hold each other accountable without feeling some type of way about something. Like, we all knew what we wanted, and we were able to keep each other on that path that we wanted, right? And it was the hard work. Everybody knew, we knew what we needed to do, right? We knew that we had the talent, and we had, each other. Now, we needed to be able to put it together, and I think that, the biggest thing is having that cohesive group of leaders that went through the fire, right? And now it's like we know how it is to be in close games. We know how it is to be blown out. We know how it is to be humiliated. And now it's like, but we're ready to take that step and be on the other side, right? We done took our butt whooping. We're tired of that, right? And it's about getting everybody on the same page. All your young kids, all the people that the JUCOs and everybody that are here to try to buy them into understanding how important it is for us to all be on the same page. And it starts with the summer workouts. It started with Coach Drew Lewis, right? Our head weight staff, right? Weight coach. I feel like to this day, he's one of the best weight coaches I've been around. We went that summer was one of the hardest summers I've ever been a part of. And it was you had to be on the field ready in line by 6 on the dot, right? Sun ain't came up yet. It's a beautiful sight, right? And we just go to work, and we held each other accountable. The thing was, if you weren't on that field by 6 and you were walking in, you were kicked out of practice, right? Nobody wanted to be on that side. So I think that over time we just pushed each other, man, and we got in arguments, we got in fights, but we all stayed together and we pushed each other like no other. The thing was, Cheeto was my best friend and probably one of the most athletic players I've ever been around playing. But to me it was yo, you're not better than me, right? You're not faster than me. But he thought the same way. Tedrick thought the same way. So we were competing, right? There was never a time where I thought I'm gonna let him win or I'm okay with him beating me, right? But then it started trickle. It's a trickle effect, right? Then everybody starts to compete. Everybody starts to do it because nobody wants to be that person that's the weakest link in the chain, right? You want to be the one everybody talking about. You want to be the one that's okay. But for me, it was can you do that every day, right? The consistency part. Me and Cheeto, we know, tomorrow gonna be a hard one, but we didn't care. We didn't go home and worry about it. We went in there and drank some water, got ready for the next day. And the thing was trying to get everybody to understand that, look, man, this stuff right here, you gotta be bought in, right? It's not one day you do great and then 2 days you're out partying. It's yo, there's gonna be time to have fun, but Monday through Thursday and Monday through Friday, it's time to work. Saturday or whatever, Friday night, Saturday as a college student, go have fun, right? But man, then Monday through Friday is very important. That's where we're gonna make our money. And it was a great sight to see the leadership in us hold each other accountable and us working through things that nobody could touch us on the field. It literally literally you could do what you want. We were just in a great situation. You had coach put the great coaching staff together. I mean, we sit here today, and one of the biggest reasons why we were able to have this great season was defense and Coach Lovett. It's as simple as that. Having 2 head coaches. Coach Lovett was a great coach. There's no doubt about it. And you had Coach Mack that was willing to do what he had to do to keep us all invested in together, And he's taught us so many life lessons to this day. that you sit back and as a young player, you're like, you just kind of go through the motions. Then you get here and you're on your own now, and you're like, dang, Coach Mack was right, you know.
Today's episode of BuffStampede Radio is brought to us by Macaulay Capital, Fractional CFO Services. If you're running a successful small to medium-sized business, you have an impressive set of skills, but as your company grows, you face new and different challenges. When you eclipse $3 million in revenue, you likely have a whole new set of financial challenges. Are you looking for financial guidance and support, but don't have the resources to hire a full-time CFO? Well, we have a solution for you. Hire a fractional CFO from Macaulay Capital. A fractional CFO can work with businesses on a part-time basis, providing the same expertise as a full-time CFO at a fraction of the cost. You get the benefit of having a seasoned financial expert on your team without the commitment or expense of a full-time hire. They love to help your business thrive by improving its profitability and eliminating your financial headaches. Get a long-term partner you can trust to help craft your financial strategy, understand the profitability of each client, help manage your cash smartly so you can take advantage of rising interest rates, and more. It's likely that a partnership with Macaulay Capital will be a win-win situation, meaning that your business will make more money from the guidance of a fractional CFO than the total cost of partnering with Macaulay Capital. For more information or to set up a meeting, visit MacaulayCapital.com or email CFO@MacaulayCapital.com. That's MCCAULEY Capital.com. So 2016, the moment that those of us in the media and the fan base always point to is Ahkello Witherspoon's interception at Oregon, especially coming off Michigan.
Yeah.
Again, you're a group that had suffered all these tough losses, and it was, okay, is this going to happen again to these guys?
Yeah.
You're saying you guys knew there was something special before that, but,
sure.
But what did that pick do for the team?
Yeah, I mean, like, before we even get to the pick, you gotta see how Cepho got hurt in Michigan. Okay, Montez has never really played in a game that meaningful enough to like be able to, he played the rest of that Michigan game and didn't do well. So you're coming back, okay, you're leader of the team, like quarterback, Cepho tough. Ain't no man tougher than Cepho. Not there. You got this young kid, well, we've been building this whole time, and now we're relying on this young kid, Montez, who is a wild card at that time, to be honest with you. You don't know what you're going to get from Montez. Some days Montez was good. Sometimes Montez was bullcrapping because he's just young. We get into a big game in Autzen Stadium, and Montez goes crazy, right? He looking like a Heisman candidate. It's like, where's this kid been? And for him to put us in that situation to where now you can rely on the defense, which you have majority of your older dudes and talented NFL caliber players, and for Ahkello to do that at that time, like, it was like finally that monkey gets off your back. Like, finally something good goes your way, right? This whole time you're just like, why us? Like, why can't we get that break? Like, in every team, you got to get a break, right? Somebody got to get a lucky break or whatever it is. And we finally got that at a big pivotal time, right? Away at Autzen Stadium versus University of Oregon. And to be able to do that right there was a pivotal, like, standpoint of, like, we're here, right? And then to be able to have Montez do what he did, now it gave us more confidence that Cepho could rest and be ready when it, ready. But also we got a young kid who's talented enough that we can win these games, right? We can beat USC. We can beat, we can do some stuff. So I think that was before you even got to Ahkello. It was Montez, young butt, deciding to turn it on, and then Ahkello solidifying it. And it was just like that feeling of, like, that was a great feeling. Right? It was a feeling like, winning a game that meant something, other than just the game that you're supposed to win, or the game, or getting lucky. Like, it's not winning this stuff because, like, this is what we've been working so hard for.
Again, there's a lot of new Colorado fans. Yeah. That would be one game, the Oregon game, that I would highly recommend. Even your understudy Kyle Evans had some plays in that game.
Kyle, and that's another one. I'm glad you put that up. Like, it takes a whole entire team, and someone like Kyle, came out, and he made some big plays, right? Big plays. It couldn't just be me, right? It can't just be one person, right? You need a whole group of people doing the right things. And Kyle decided to come play, right? Then you have Montez, you had Kyle. Now that's the depth that you need, right? That's the depth that when you look at like Alabama and Ohio State, like their third string players are going to the NFL, right? Like that you need that depth. And when you start to have that depth at quarterback, at running back, at receiver, now you're starting to build. That's what you're starting to build a team. And now you can be confident in that next person.
You talked about Sefo Lufau's toughness.
Yeah.
In your mentality as a football player, on the field, that had to be a match made in heaven, right? Just in terms
me and
of your
Sefo,
mindset.
yeah. We the thing about it is you didn't have to worry about anything because Sefo and I were going to handle everything on the offensive side when it came to disciplining people, when it came to setting that tone, setting that fire, and that was the great thing about it is you had great leaders on the offensive side and great leaders on the defensive side, right? And then the thing is, Coach Lovett was a great leader for them, right? And for us, you had Coach Cheverini and Brian Lindgren, right? There's two of them together, and so it was more like it was just one of those special things where, hey man, you couldn't touch it,
Yeah. Brian Lindgren's still doing his thing.
He's doing, yes, he is. It's great to see that. It's what's great about it is seeing the growth from Coach Lindgren, like from us. And Coach Lindgren has been one of those kind of guys that doesn't really say too much. He's kind of quiet, but he's very smart. And I think that with us, he was trying to learn certain things too, trying to piece things together. But now you see him at Oregon State, and you see him trusting himself. See him doing what he wants and what he believes in, and getting the type of kids there. Like he's doing great. I'm proud and happy that Coach Lindgren is doing his stuff. It's great to see.
Only Christian McCaffrey had more yards than you from scrimmage in the Pac-12 in 2016. That's not bad.
Company. It is a bad company. Yeah. Christian has, he did his thing. He should have won the Heisman, and. Yeah, but like I said, if it wasn't for those offensive linemen, if it wasn't for Sefo, if it wasn't for Coach Mack, believing in me and giving me opportunities and stuff, and it wasn't for myself believing in myself. Man, every year, this is the thing about the college and NFL, you recruit to replace, right? So every time you recruit, you're recruiting that kid that you think is better than the person playing in that spot, right? And so the thing is, every year you got to prove yourself. Well, that keeps you on your toes. When you're too comfortable, you're never gonna to complete the goal that you want or the task in hand because you're comfortable being where you're at. But when something's in your way to light your fire, that's gonna be like, you know what? Let me do this extra workout, or like why he's not, or the person's not putting in that extra work and doing that extra lift and doing that extra stretching. That's the stuff that separates you. It's the consistency part of that. And I think that, Coach Mack did a great job of bringing people in to compete. And I did a great job of saying, you're not better than me, right? From the start, my roommate at the time was Michael Atkins, right? Great talent. And honestly, if it wasn't for Mike being, having the injuries he had, there's no telling what Mike would have done. He was one of those specimens that was big and fast, right? But for me, it was like, you got to outbeat me every day. And the thing is, can you do that? You know what I mean? Like every day, when I'm hurting, when I'm sore, when I'm good, you'll never know, right? Like you'll think that, you'll be like, yo, what's wrong with this kid? Because does he ever get tired? Does he ever get hurt? Does he ever? Yeah, and in the back of my head, I'm like, dang, man, I'm hurting. But I would never show that because for me, it was like when Coach Mack brings somebody in, it's like, okay, you think that this kid's better than me, right? But he's going to have to prove the whole camp that he can do better than me, not just one day, right? Not just because he's faster than me or because he's bigger. Can he sustain the same mentality, the same mindset every single day in practice, in the film room? And I think that that's kind of what set me apart from a lot of people.
Do you ever go back and watch The Rise?
Oh, what's funny is I did, and I sent it to Cheeto probably last year. It's great. One like
John
truly.
Snelson is
he's the man.
Treasure.
He's the man, and they should be grateful to have him back. Because he left. Came back. And
he just did a 30 for 30, and he's like, okay, I miss my alma mater.
No, for sure, right?
Yeah.
And for him to do that, and I don't know if it won how many awards. It should have won some awards.
Won some Emmys.
Okay, it should have.
Yeah.
That man did a great job. That whole Jamie, all of them in that whole time, they did a great job of getting all that access. And it's a great feeling to go back and watch that. You forget certain things, and as we get older, it's like. That's the stuff you look back at and you're proud of and you show your kids because that's the things that you want them to be able to experience. But also you want them to go through their own hard times and come out on the other side because that's where you're going to see growth.
And you were a second-team All-Pac-12 selection as a senior in 2017. You ended up playing 51 games at Colorado. You show up on campus, you can't bend your knee. You end up playing 51 games.
I know, right?
What's your favorite memory from your time at CU?
My favorite memory, there's so many memories, man. And I can't, you got to be specific because I've made so many memories off the field that changed my life forever. I've made so many friendships off the field that will be with me forever. And then there were so many things on the field that happened that's the best memory would be just being able to do this with my best friends, Cheeto, Ted, just to be able to see all of them. And we took our butt whoopings and we didn't run, right? We didn't transfer out. We didn't leave and cower down. We got older and we started whooping butt, right? We used that as fuel and just see that and just to see how they're doing as men now. It's that's the reason why they're doing well in life because we ain't run from stuff, right? We stayed stuck together and and we seen it all through with each other, with Coach Mack, and for Coach, it sucks that he wasn't able to catch fire after that, and I think it's because we took 4 years to build what we did, and I think that we needed more depth, and that's very important, even for Coach Prime. Is your second and third string players, your young kids, one, they gotta buy in, and two, those kids are the ones you're gonna have to rely on the most. Everybody, and it's easy in the NFL. I always say, look, it ain't about your starters because week 7, all of them is hurt. It's about those second and third string players. Is there a drop off, right? And I think that was the issue with us is just the depth, man. You go to Alabama, Ohio State right now, the drop-off isn't that bad. For us, from the before 2016, the drop-off, we were young, right? You had these these players that were doing their stuff, and then you had us young kids that were going through some growth issues and stuff. You can't expect a whole group of freshmen to get together and just dominate seniors. That's not how it works. So for us, it was just being able to see that, man, and see the growth.
I think it hurt, too, the fact that Mike McIntyre was at the forefront of the satellite camps before that became a really big deal. Yeah. And he found a lot of guys. He had such a long-standing relationship with Cheeto Bayou.
No, for sure. He built some relationships.
Yeah, he had some options late in the process, but Mike McIntyre and his staff would go up and down California and find these hidden gems. And then at some point when he was at Colorado, it became the mega camp era to where now everybody's doing it.
See, that's where I even for so for me when I was getting recruited, right, it was more of coaches came down, they watched you play, they talked to you, right? And then as I kind of left and it was my brother's era and stuff, it was you had to go to a camp to get offered, right? It was nobody came down and watched your game and met your family and just really seen the type of person you are. They're looking at a film, right? Nowadays, it seems like they just watch a film. Oh, the kid's 6'5", 280. He's beating up on some 2A kids. Let's give him an offer. Instead of going in and doing your homework and going to see his family life, because that stuff will tell you a lot, right? That will tell you a lot about somebody. Coach Mack, that he had ties with Cheeto and he knew them well, right? He knew about their family. He knew about their, how they ran, ticked. So it made it easier in the transition when he got to college to be more of a father figure to all of us and all of them, because he knew us on a different scale than just as a kid that could play good football or is a specimen.
I'm going to put you on the spot again. Any good Darian Hagan stories?
Coach Hagan, I want to give a shout out to Coach Hagan because it wasn't until he got to being a running back coach, and I'm not dogging Coach Clayton Adams, and actually Coach Adams and I are really good friends. Coach Adams is a great offensive line coach, and we actually worked together with the Colts. He was the tight ends coach with the Colts, and great dude. And I think making that move with Coach Adams, like the mindset of Coach Adams, going back to offensive line, he helped us so much. And then having Coach Hagan as our running back coach, who kind of knew more about the running back thing, that's my dude to the end. That's my second father. And Coach Hagan, he just let me do my thing, man. He I wasn't tight with Coach. I didn't feel like, just this something's over my head. I felt like I could just play ball, and he never judged me. And I just felt like we got to a point where, he knew what I would see, and I knew what he wanted. And it was just a great, to this day, me and Coach talk all the time. And my bad. Just to have him as my running back coach for those 2 years and have the success I had, and him be able to be part of that, it was a special thing. And Coach Hagan, funny dude, and always kept a smile on our faces and made it not so serious all the time, And I think something like that is just it's hard to do, especially in this game today. Everything is just so structured and all this, that when Coach Hagan got with us, it just made us feel a lot looser. And I think we just played better.
Now, everybody that covered you at CU knew how special of a talent you were.
Yeah.
But when you showed up to Pro Timing Day and put that 40 together, was it a 4.38?
Yeah, I think it was a 4.38, 4.39, something like that.
I'll be honest, I didn't know you had that speed in you.
Yeah, man, you got to think, man. When you go back, right, I came into the league, or came into college, and I was hurt, right? You guys didn't get to see. I was always fast, but I'm coming off a knee, right, that didn't get worked on right and everything. It took a while. It took more than a year for myself to feel good, right? It wasn't until Cheeto decided to steal my brace that I felt comfortable without a knee brace, right? So, and then at those 2 years, you gotta think, I took a lot of carries, right? I was getting banged up, literally. What people don't know is after the games, I was getting stitched up after every game, right? My back, my arms. I probably had 3 or 4 different areas where I would have to get stitched up after every game. So I was taking 30 carries one game, 20 carries this game. Then with the Arizona game, Arizona, I took 42 carries, right? And then turned back around and took 30. You tell me a person that does that and then going to be running fast after a while, So when I got done playing, and I went down to Coach Lauren Landau, who's the man, right? I got to get healthy, and I got to really work on myself, work on my game, and I just really hauled in and stayed focused on what I wanted. I knew I could run a 4.3. I was fast. I was always fast, and Cheeto and them always thought they was only fast. I was like, no, that's not it. But them pushing me, I was always fast as them, right? And so we always had bets. He always thought he was faster than me. I was like, you're not going to run a faster time than me. Now, in the combine, it would have been maybe a little higher. I don't know. To be honest with you, I probably would have still ran a 4.3. That's just because of the type of person I am. And I remember talking to Coach Landau, and Landau was like, look, I think we could get you to a 4.4, right? A 4.4. And in my head, I'm like, I'm running a 4.3. My mindset is not going to let me run nothing less than a 4.3, right? I wanted it that bad. And so when that happened, I wasn't surprised because I knew that was just who I am. Everybody always put a stigma on me as oh, just a tough runner. It's no, it's easy to do something when your holes are this big, right? You just run through something, make some moves. But when you got to break tackles, when you got to do it, and I'm not discrediting my offensive line or anything like that, but it's it's hard to just showcase speed when the holes just ain't always there, right? So when I finally got to see that, it took me to a different level, and people got to see, I'm not just a tough runner. I'm an explosive player, and it's hard. I was top 10 both years in rushing. You know what I mean? In the Power 5, And I'm 5'8", 182 pounds at that time. I think I weighed in at 184 at the combine or the pro day. Like, and the thing was, is I wanted to show people that, yo, you don't have to be 6 foot 215 and run crazy times to be a good player. Like, if you're tough and you work on your craft and you really want it, you're gonna be all right. You know what I mean? You don't need to go and do some cheat stuff and put, you know, the growth hormones or the steroids, all this stuff that these kids are doing, you know, nowadays. Like, it was just pure, just hard work, man. Just hard work and determination and mentality.
And you want to get into having some youth camps.
Yeah.
And you're such a great person for those kids to hear from, because you weren't drafted and you had to deal with that disappointment. And instead of letting it discourage you, you go out and, like I said earlier in the podcast, become the first undrafted guy to go 1,000 yards your first 2 years in the league. What are your plans with camps trying to going forward?
Yeah, so for me, it's just mainly just trying to expand the camps and make it really competitive for high school kids and youth kids, and get everybody out there playing ball, and hopefully, you know, get a chance to get looked at and get a chance to get coached by some really good coaches, get to see some NFL players and talk with them. You know, my goal is by next year to set up something to get camps really like get some camps really going, so that we can really see the talent in Colorado all over, not just in Denver area or Boulder, like all over, because like these kids are all over. They just need to be seen. You know, they need to be heard, and you need to get out there to sometimes you gotta know people to be able to get heard. So this for these kids, it's an outlet for them to get on a better stage.
How do you look back at your time with the Denver Broncos now that you're a little bit removed from it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is right, watching that draft was probably the worst feeling I ever experienced in my life. Just seeing a bunch of people that you know you're better than get picked, and you're sitting here not getting a call, and when you do get a call in the 5th round, they're talking about, hey, this is so-and-so, we're thinking about picking you up as a free agent. Like, dang, man, we still got 2-3 rounds. You know, and it was just like one of those feelings. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna forget this. Like, I feel like for me, it's like, and I always ask my dad, I'm like, Dad, every time, right, I step into a room, right, even in Colorado, I'm dead last on the depth chart. I'm always having to like prove some stuff. I'm always having like I could do something, and then they'll still say some bull stuff about it. So it's like, why? Like, all I do is sit here and I produce and I do my part and I stay in a straight line, and yet I still sit here and I have to deal with some stuff that I don't have to, right? And it was like, to me, it was like, you know what? I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm taking this into my own hands. Period. Like, if I'm gonna lose, like if I'm not gonna play in the NFL, I'm gonna give everything I got. All right, and you're just gonna have to say that I'm not better than that person. But I tell you, I'll be damned if until this day, right? And, you know, this for me, like being with the Colts in Miami, Denver, and nobody has beat me out, just outright beat me out, from the great running backs like Jonathan Taylor to all that. Ain't none of them have just head-to-head with no political stuff have beat me out, right? Even when Melvin decided, you know, they decided that partner me up with Melvin. Like, none of them have ever beat me out. And I've always been one, like, if you beat me out, I'm gonna say, hey man, he beat me out. But I can truly sit here today, to this day, if there's not political stuff being played, none of those running backs have beat me out yet. And that's just a mentality thing.
That said, how difficult is it dealing with the business side of the NFL? In not knowing what that next opportunity might be?
It's very difficult. Because when you first get there, right, you have to understand, like, on a business thing, they're thinking about it, it's like you're cheap, right? They didn't know what I could do. You know, I came on that scale at Denver, and I just took it and I ran with it. You know, they got, in their head, they got a gym and they got lucky, because for them, like, they didn't, like, they had all the opportunities to draft me. They could even draft me in the 7th round and decide to draft someone else, right? And then they got me. They got lucky and decided that my mom and my agent decided that this was the best fit for me to stay in Denver. So I did that, you know, and it was the greatest choice I ever chose, because I met some great teammates. The fan base was great to me, and they still are to this day. One of the best fan bases there is in a professional level, any professional level. And every time I look, I was like, I would love to come back and play for them because there's so much here. There's so much history here for me, and it just made sense. And you can't write a storybook better than my whole high school, college, and professional career with Denver.
You're gonna have folks picketing outside Dove Valley to get you back in there.
I need them to, man, because I think that helps to understand how, special and how, what I've done was big. Because a lot of times because you're undrafted, they want to sweep it under the rug, right? To them, sometimes they can look at it as a slap in the face. We drafted these people and you beat them out. You're doing all this. We don't want that. We want the people because it's an ego thing. We want the people that we drafted because that's our guys, right? We'll go to bat for them any day. You're not supposed to do that. So I feel like sometimes I might have stepped on people's toes that I don't even know because of what I did and how it went and the fan base around me and being from here, the love and the support, I think the biggest turn was when and me and Melvin are good, right? We don't have no bad blood. We're cool. But the biggest turn point, I think, is when Elway decided to bring Melvin on when it was time for me to get paid at that time. Yeah. So like that was when things kind of hit the fan.
What does your day-to-day look like now?
Yeah, day-to-day now is, like I said, I still want to try to get a couple years left in the NFL. I got some explosiveness left in the tank, and if I do get that opportunity, I'm going to be excited, and I'm going to take it and run with it. But other than that, taking care of my son. I got a beautiful baby boy who just turned 3 not too long ago. I've got a beautiful wife, and just doing, hanging out with them and trying to find other ways to do things other than just football, right? Try to get, what's going to happen, life after football, because no matter if I play 2 years or 5 years, there's life after football, right? And so it's trying to expand myself and see what I really want to do after this.
When you go up to Boulder nowadays, what do you like to do up there?
It's funny because that's where I met my wife. My wife played soccer at the University of Colorado. Actually, was very good. I had great stories just with her and how we met, and we were just really good friends, and it turned into something more that I'm very grateful for. But when we go up there, we just reminisce about the good times, things that you just don't get back anymore. You know how it is when you become a parent and having to do real life stuff. It ain't just, it's different than college, So when we get a chance to reminisce and have fun, we definitely go back and talk about the good times.
We talked about the excitement with Coach Prime being up there in Boulder. What do you think? How long do you think it's going to take for him? He pretty much brought in an entire new roster.
I know he did. He clean slate on it, and that's great. But there's a lot to that. You got a lot of talent. But now it's about putting it all together, right? It's about everybody being on the same page. You got all these kids coming from all, different parts that are older already, right? And some may not want to be willing to change the way they think, the way they decide to go through something. But everybody got to be on the same page, right? And they got to be able to hold each other accountable. And the thing is, it can't always be that Hollywood lifestyle of just all flashing lights. It's about getting down and dirty. It's about grinding with each other when nobody's looking, when nothing's on you, right? And if they can do that, they're gonna have some great time. Now, I don't know this year. If Colorado wins 6 games, that's a success, because it's you coming from losing all your games pretty much, winning 1 last year, to come in here, being a brand new coach, having to bring all these kids together, right? And if you can go to a bowl game, right, that's only gonna to catapult you to another level to help you out, right? Of course, we all want 10 games and all that, but how realistic is that when you're going against teams that have been built for the USCs and the Alabamas and the Ohio States all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and you're in this new, you're new trying to get everything pieced together. Now, if he does that, now that he wins 10 games, they better get the checkbook out because it's gonna be hard to keep it here. But if he wins 6 games, I mean, that's a success. And people are gonna be mad or not gonna want to hear that because of the hype, right? But the thing is, you gotta, as a football player, as a coach, you gotta go back and you really gotta, if you see what they're seeing, it's like, okay, do we have everything we need to be a national championship team? And it takes time, right? It takes time. And it's like Nick Saban didn't do it in 1 year. He built that over years, right? And everybody bought in. I've had many teammates from Alabama that I always like to pick and ask, because if you ever notice, there's not too much that gets out about Alabama. Coach Saban keeps everything in-house, right? So the only thing you can get is when you talk to one of your teammates in the NFL or whatever about Alabama and what they're doing, because a lot of that doesn't get out, right? But it's just about building that, and to a lot of them, there's a standard, and if Coach Prime can build that standard, and the standard needs to be the standard all the time with his coaching staff, with the staff in general, with the recruiting staff, with everything, then he's gonna build something special, and he's gonna be loved in Boulder for many years.
Great stuff, Phillip. You were part of the group that moved into the Champions Center.
Yeah.
And I hope that your 2016 group is going to be around for the next 20, 30 years.
I hope so too, man.
Because you guys should take a lot of pride in what you accomplished.
It's one of those things where we look back at, you're going to always look back and be like, dang, we did that. I wish we would have won. And, it didn't happen how we wanted it to. But it was a great story, And I wish we would have won our bowl game, man. We got beat up in the bowl game, but there's a lot of little parts that happened in that situation. So,
but it was fun taking a trip down memory lane with you, Phillip, and I know you got so many fans out there, so I appreciate you for taking some time out. Now we got to dive into some GQue
for sure.
barbecue.
We got to get some barbecue. So thank you for having me on here, and go Buffs.
We're all rooting for you, Phillip, and thanks to everybody out there for tuning in.